ask everyone to join this momentum. We will never surrender. That they ask to drop their weapon and come to the table. On what table? Who is controlling the table? Let them go back to La Republique. Let them go to La Republique. We are done of La Republique. We are done with them completely. We are done with La Republique. We are done. Let them get out of Southern Cameroon territory. Let them get out. Let them get out. Then they should drop their weapon. They drop their weapon. That La Republique bought any weapon to Southern Cameroon. If you bought one, then ask them to drop it. If they bought one, then they can ask for them to drop it. But since they did not buy any, then they shouldn't have to ask. But fellow brothers and sisters, now henceforth, any individuals of La Republique that is in Southern Cameroon, we urge you to leave. We urge you, because from now henceforth, there shall be no any excuses to any enablers of La Republique meddling in Southern Cameroon. There shall be none of them. We have to deal with them squarely and fully. We have to deal with them squarely and fully. We have to. We have to deal with them squarely and fully. Then they should drop their weapon. On who? I heard there is what is so-called a reconstruction. To reconstruct what? Reconstruct La Republique. In the past 38 years, in the past 60-something years, why didn't you carry the reconstructions? Is it now? He has been in power for 38 years. Did he foresee any reconstruction? No. Who is that? Lock the fridge. You know, for the past 38 years, have you heard any reconstruction? They didn't foresee any reconstruction, but now they want to carry on a reconstruction. La Republique, leave and go to your territory. Our people are capable to do whatever it takes to rebuild our territory. But we don't want to deal with La Republique in any moment from now. Southern Cameroon must survive. Southern Cameroon must prevail. Southern Cameroon must prevail. Southern Cameroon must prevail. As I was speaking earlier at the beginning of this story, I talked about Fonjindam. For those who did not get it in the beginning. Fonjindam, he may be from Bali. If someone knows about it, you can correct me the error. Fonjindam was the director of Chantier Naval. You all saw what is so-called, they've created seaport. Let's look at what happened. La Republique spent 6 billion yearly. 6 billion yearly to carry on inland drainage. La Republique spent 6 billion to carry out inland drainage to Douala. And then it was because of this, my video that I talk about it. Few days ago, they appoint the stupid individual. They say they have created a seaport. For the past 50-something years, is it now that they realize that they should have a seaport? I spoke about it. They spent 6 billion to carry on inland drainage from Douala yearly. That money could have spent, 6 billion yearly, could have spent and developed Victoria Seaport. Then that money would have gone to other investment, infrastructural development. But they refused to carry on that project because it is in Victoria, in Southern Cameroon territory. You all know Ron Brown, the U.S. Commerce Secretary. Ron Brown said he wanted to develop that seaport with the Chadian pipeline, but it was deliberately refused. It was deliberately refused that they cannot carry towards the project. That's why you find it in Kribi. They say they can't carry on the development in Victoria because it's in Southern Anglophone territory. But they choose Gregory Owana, the Owana's family. They say no, that project cannot take place in Southern Cameroon territory. They say it has to be done in Kribi. That is why the project is in Kribi. Now they want to open the seaport in Victoria. They want to open seaport now in Victoria. Fonjindam wanted to carry Chantier Naval branch in Victoria. The purpose, because he saw that United States Marine could use that for their shipyard repair. That would create a revenue. But because it was in Southern Cameroon territory, it wasn't a prerogative because it's in Southern Cameroon territory. It would have been the best in West Africa if they would have go ahead with Fonjindam project. Fonjindam is from Bali. He was the head of the Chantier Naval. He won that project in Victoria so that it's natural seaport that will provide revenue to the country. But because it was in Anglophone Southern Cameroon territory, Fonjindam was accused of embezzlement and sentenced to 15 years in prison. When the 15 years about to pass, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. Now Fonjindam is languishing in La Republique jailhouse because he stood for the truth. He stood for justice. He stood for equality, economic development. But he became the criminal in La Republique today. Remember, there is one director of custom, which I don't want to call the name here. It was the first Southern Cameroon to ever be head of the director of custom. He was appointed by Simon Achille Achu. The first time Southern Cameroon ever had the director of custom. Usually the custom revenue a month in La Republique is 6 billion. The entire revenue, entire economic revenue from custom in La Republique and Southern Cameroon is 6 billion. But when the first Southern Cameroon was appointed director of custom, guess what happened? The first time in history, that custom revenue jumped to 8 billion. And when he was appointed, he has an opposition right from A to D. Right from A to D, the presidency opposed that decision by appointing an Anglophone director of custom in such a financial institution place. It was then they realized that custom revenue has jumped the first time to 8 billion a month from custom. Meanwhile, it has always been an francophones. Before he was removed from his position, custom revenue has climbed to 12 billion. Has tripled, has doubled. And that was a Southern Cameroon who was the head of that custom department. So you can see why francophones are poor in management. Francophone is absolutely poor in management. So every institution that will be headed by Southern Cameroon, there is a prosper. You all see what is happening now in what they call Intercam. What is Intercam? There is a reform going on in Intercam. It's going there because it's headed by Southern Cameroon. But what about La Republique? There is no revenue is coming out. There is no revenue coming out. But when Southern Cameroon takes over, you will see a dynamic change of economic potential. But yet, they are misunderstood about the potential of Southern Cameroon. And that is why we can't live together with La Republique du Cameroon. We can't. We believe in accountability. We believe in revenue. We believe in structural economic potential. And that is why Fonjindam is languishing in La Republique jailhouse. Fonjindam is languishing in La Republique jailhouse till today. Fellow brothers and sisters, I urge you to fund the Ambazonia defense system. For those who are acting as enablers, I warn you, it's time to recognize that we will no longer tolerate any enablers. For those who are dealing with La Republique, it's time you join the Ambazonia funding. Funding is essential for the freedom of the Southern Cameroon. We have talked to the international community. We haven't got them on board. But they choose to tell us what we want. But our guns will answer our prayer. Our guns is what are going to answer the prayer of Southern Cameroon. Only our guns will stand for the freedom of Southern Cameroon and nothing else. So that is why I am urging all Southern Cameroon. It's time to keep your PhD somewhere and fund the Ambazonian defense system. Because that is where we can have freedom and develop the home. We believe that is our home. That is what we can do. We will not succumb to La Republique to dictate on what we should have to be. But we have the right to dictate what we want to be in Southern Cameroon territory. I am bringing this to the international community because injustice that has been created upon us is what is affecting our society. Fellow brothers and sisters, funding is essential. And so therefore, if you haven't been providing funding, then I urge you to do it now. Because if you don't provide the funding, then you're going to pay interest later on when the freedom is won. Ask, what can I do to liberate Southern Cameroon? Just as your $1 you provide, just as your one British pound, just as your one German mark, just as your Japanese yen or the Chinese yen, whatever it is, whatever you provide will ultimately liberate us from the pound of the lion of La Republique. But if you keep your distance and waiting that sometimes things will change, then you may gonna pay it in arrears. Nations have stood for freedom and achieved. There is no nation that has ever stood for freedom and failed. United States, some 200 years ago, had the same people like us standing and speaking for the freedom of United States. And we are not a section for those person in 200 years ago that stood for United States. So we are standing for today for Ambazonia, and that we're speaking on behalf of the citizens of Southern Cameroon. That it is a moment that now we must stand together and free us from the pounds of the devil. Fellow brothers, I want to thank you for watching. Have a wonderful Sunday.